spot we can use for cornhole and stuff. So, for the, for that Blueberry Creek. What is that?
I know we're going with the jet lag.
What is that? So, all
Yeah, that's, yeah, thanks, nice to hear.
You got a recreation center? Get off my back, I got work.
yeah, so, I mean, so you got to start.
Oh, yeah, you go, you can go. Yeah, you can always go to marinas. You can do, our spot.
Well, my kids use it right next to, right. See, someday, one day, you guys are going to call us and say, what's happening? Yeah, so to answer your question, we do have access to that. But the link doesn't work.
It's not our problem.
He said, there's no two services. Weather dog is never left me down. It's raining. It's rocking. It's snowing. And I was like, it's never left me down either today. So that's what they always used to tell us. Like, you just look at it more. Yeah. See what they do. Tell you to address it.
Okay. The only thing they tell us is this morning is we can't issue warnings.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like when you get the power to do something. But it was seriously, he was teaching, like, he's retired military. But he's a big, but he's also a meteorology.
Not special events.
Oh. And he was like the sweetest, speak to us, he just kept putting things on the screen.
He kept touching our brand new screen in there and
And yeah, and he's like, I mean, it seems like a bad service. He's like, look at all this stuff.
you got fingerprints.
The fireman and I couldn't even believe it. I was laughing so hard. I'm like, I can't. We were here. And I'm looking at
Hey, everybody.
Hey. Sharon today?
No.
Hey. I saw the
Yeah.
I just don't know how to like stress like this.
One thing. She told us last Thursday. Brad, about like Right. Exactly. No, I got you, yeah. Oh, my gosh. Hmm. Well, there's John right there. Aren't you guys? Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon. This is City Councilman Victor Jones. We're here for the Thursday, September 29th meeting of the Finance Committee for City of High Point. Here present with me is Councilmember Michael Holmes, Mayor Pro Tem Monica Peters, and Councilmember Britt Moore is on his way, so we're just going to go ahead and get started with our items since we do have a quorum. Our first item on the agenda is item 2022-449, a contract with Benchmark Tool and Supply Incorporated.
Hey, good afternoon. Hope you are doing well. Before you is a agenda item for a sole source purchase of a GPS line marking machine. This machine is pretty unique. It's ride along, and it has a system on it that would be able to utilize GPS technology to line our fields. When we're talking about athletic fields, soccer fields, football fields, or if we do some lacrosse, anything on natural, artificial turf. So this will obviously save us a lot of time, be a little bit more efficient, cut down on personnel needs, whereas we need 3 to 5 people to mark a field. This would only require 1 to 2 and a substantially less amount of time to actually do that work. So this is a sole source item, and it is one that we are recommending approval from the group that actually sells this particular line marker. And they are Benchmark Tool and Supply Incorporated, and so we're recommending approval of that purchase in the amount of $61,327.
Now, I was talking to the mayor last night. Is this the same thing we'd be using for the stadium lines and or just fields, or just multi-purpose?
So I'm not sure on the stadium, Victor, so it'd just be just on our multi-purpose fields. So this would just be strictly lining of our fields right now, but it could possibly use, because it is, you can utilize it on turf fields as well as our natural fields. Yeah.
Do we already have one, or is this an upgraded model?
We do not have one.
Okay.
So we have never used this type technology, Michael, with this. So typically lining fields, depending on the size.
Yeah.
If you think about football, you think about soccer. We're still doing it. If you know the string
Oh, yeah, I know.
technique, we're still
I know.
utilizing that type system to mark fields. So this is going to really improve productivity and our efficiency in getting those done.
And the one at the stadium will be purchased by the soccer team, not us.
Okay, good enough. Thank you. Any other questions for staff?
Motion to approve?
A motion or a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
And
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Peters, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jones is an aye. Motion passed. Next item, 2022-450, contract American Pontoon Company, Parks and Rec.
This is the purchase of a 30-passenger pontoon passenger boat to replace our existing boat that we have at City Lake Park. If you guys remember, we talked about including this in some of the bond proceeds with some other improvements that we needed to have done at City Lake Park. Our current boat, pontoon boat, is a 1975 model, so it's 47 years old. We've had numerous maintenance issues with that boat. It's kind of amazing it's still working, but it is still working and doing well. But we are not able to remove that boat from the lake. So the fact that we're able to get a new boat with a trailer, be able to remove it from the lake, perform maintenance on it is very helpful. We did try to formally bid this project after we received 3 quotes. Nobody came back with a formal bid. Talking with finance and the purchasing division, they asked us to move forward with the lowest bid or lowest quote that we received originally. And the American Pontoon Boat Company said that they would recognize that same quote as well. So we're recommending moving forward with purchasing that boat from the American Pontoon Company in the amount of $101,630.
What's the primary purpose of this one?
I'm sorry?
Primary use?
Well, we take tours out on the lake, so it's fall boat tours, or we do tours throughout the course of the year. The fall boat tours with the leaf tours are the most popular. So, but it's used throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, no, I love those tours. We used to do that a lot when Claire was little, but now that she's all grown up and we're empty nesters, it'd be fun to have a sunset cruise with a little picnic basket and a bottle of wine.
It does sound good.
If this is something the city's gonna lean into, I mean, Councilman Jones and I have had a lot of conversations about the utilization of the lake, as an asset for the city, so I like where that's going.
Sounds good.
Yeah, definitely, we think we're underutilizing that.
Yeah.
Lake and what we could be doing, but,
Yeah, he's a buzzkill every
I
time.
know, right?
make it a party boat.
Yeah.
All right. Any questions for staff? Hearing none, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion is second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jones says aye, the motion passes. Next item, 2022-451, Benchmark Tool and Supply Company.
Yes, sir. This is another sole source item for our Parks Maintenance Division. This is ABI, it's called an ABI Force Zero Turn Work Machine. This is a stand-up machine that is going to allow us to be a little bit more productive as far as infields, baseball, softball infields. We have many fields, obviously, that we still maintain. This will provide us a lot more opportunity to do maintenance, do some laser grading on these fields, provide a safer playing environment, and again, a lot more efficient manner as far as time. This particular piece of equipment also is going to help us in our landscaping division with sod, with aerating, with seeding. So it has a lot of capabilities. We've been looking at something like this that's kind of an all-in-one machine, and this is what this thing will be able to do for us. It's kind of got those multi-functions that not only cover us within infields, but also with some aeration and seeding. So it's got a number of opportunities to really help our department. This is another sole source item with the same group from earlier, Benchmark Tool and Supply. So we're recommending purchase of that for $51,912.
Lee, Benchmark Tool and Supply, are they local or?
They're authorized dealer. That's a good question, Michael. I think they're in Raleigh. I'm sorry, I don't know off the top of my
No,
head.
that's fine, that's just, I don't know.
Any other questions? Hearing none, motion approved.
Second?
Motion is second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I, the motion passes. Next item, 2022-452, contract with Border States Incorporated.
Hey, good afternoon. This is a contract for purchasing of some transformers. These are 300 kVA transformers, 277-480, which is a large commercial or industrial application. There's not a specific project that we have in mind for these. This is just warehouse stock. We'll be purchasing 4 units, and Border States was the lowest bidder out of the 3 bids that we received.
Question? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion is second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I, the motion passes.
Thank you.
Next item, 2022-453, contract with Sole Source Carotech.
Yes, sir. This is for the purchase of a flow meter for our nitrified recycle system at the Eastside Wastewater Treatment Plant. This will be a sole source purchase here. The nitrified recycle system is an essential process for our biological nutrient removal and wastewater treatment. We've had ongoing issues with the current flow meters, and this is a personal GWF insertion Doppler flow meter that will be inserted into a 66-inch diameter pipe. We do have funding in the current budget for this, and we're requesting approval to purchase this from Carotech, this part from Carotech for the Eastside Wastewater Treatment Plant in the amount of $32,812.
Any questions? All right, motion to approve.
Second?
Motion second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I. The motion passes. Next item, 2022-454, contract sole source of CNA Associates Incorporated.
Good afternoon. We're asking City Council to order a purchase order for a sole source for CNA Associates so we can put our pad tracks RFID in our property room. We have an evidence property room at the police department. We have, they say, over 100,000 pieces of evidence and stuff in there. I don't know what the number is, but it's pretty large. So what the RFID does is allows us to tag every piece of property and evidence in the room, and any time that it moves from that point forward, it'll be documented. We're doing it by hand scanner right now, but that doesn't really take, if something could walk out of the room today and we wouldn't know it. This will prevent this from happening. Not that we've had that issue in the past either, but this is the new technology that's emerging in law enforcement, and it helps keep a check and balance on what you're taking in. We are going to use, it's important to know that the initial startup on this is $63,315. We're going to use our equitable sharing, our SEES funds, so nothing will come out of the budget to put this in place. We will build in our next budget request $6,000 annual maintenance fee that goes with it each year. So nothing out of the budget now.
Chief, you did say, is it 65 or 63? Because I just want to make sure.
60, whatever it is,
65?
315, sorry.
Okay, just checking. Any question?
Does this come with the software that helps with cycle counting, like any maintenance of the inventory, like tracking, or, because you guys are all doing that by hand now and cataloging?
By hand scanner.
Hand scanner, and
Yes.
then it goes into a database system and?
Yes.
Okay.
But this will be much
Yeah.
more streamlined.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
mean, it's-
RFID is probably much more efficient than that, and so God bless y'all for the hand scanning, man, that's a lot of work.
Two ladies down there. We're trying to get it in place as well before Tammy and Jane both retire. Unfortunately, they're probably going to leave about the same time. So we got a 2-year window to get this up and running, and everything in before we bring new folks in. They wanted to put this into Leonard, and I refused because they didn't want to sink $1,315 into Leonard, quite frankly. So we're a little bit overdue on this, but I think it's a good purchase.
Good stuff.
Any question?
I just want to make a comment. So, Chief, you know that you've got support of all council. We'll give you anything that you need to help us fight crime and have a safe city. And we really appreciate, we've got the best PD in this country. So
We appreciate
thank
it.
you.
We need it. So
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So move.
Second. All right, motion is second.
Second.
Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I, the motion passes. Thank you, Chief. Our next item, 2022-455, a contract with geotechnical and material testing firms.
Good afternoon, members of the Finance Committee. As you're all aware, an RFQ process is required for engineering, design, and survey services based on state statutes. Every 5 years, we bring you all a comprehensive sort of RFQ to sort of bless instead of every time we need engineering, design, geotech services, having to go through that process. So we do this comprehensive RFQ, and we invite, any firm that's in the business to come in and state their qualifications, and then we have a panel made up of public service staff, engineering, and other city departments to review those qualifications and make a recommendation to council. We then turn that into master agreements, and over the next 5 years, we do supplemental agreements off of that. If it rises to the level of $90,000, you all have to approve it at that point. But a lot of these projects are very small, and if we had to conduct an RFQ process every time, it would add a lot of time to some very small projects. So just in recap, this is specifically for the geotech and material testing services. I'll bring you design and architecture at a later date as those master contracts expire. The committee reviewed 8 proposals and actually determined that all 8 firms met the qualifications that they needed. Some of these specialize in certain areas, and so that's why we try to have an interdisciplinary group of departments reviewing these. So the 8 consultants that we're recommending to go forward with master agreements are Atlantic Coast, ECS, DRMP, ESP, Michael Baker, SNME, Summit, and Terracon. And I'll be glad to answer any questions, and I think there's a couple of members of the committee here as well.
Any questions now? Make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I, the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item, 22-456, the ordinance to demolish a property 3 to 1507 West English Road building.
Okay, go ahead. You got it. This is the property that's immediately to the north of the Cohab space on 315 English. I think some of the council members are very familiar with the property. It's right beside City Transfer, and it is in a state of current collapse. It is adjacent to a church that also is attached, and so the concern there is it has to be hand demolished. And so the bid will be a little bit higher because we can't go in there with heavy equipment. There are some power, communication lines on that side of the street that can't be moved easily or quickly. So what Reggie's done is got quotes for conventional demolition and then hand demolition. So this is up to a cost of $70,000. We're hoping it'll be less than that. It'll really be dependent on how the work progresses. And so we're asking for council's approval up to $70,000. And the funds are in.
That still creates a lien on that property, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the status with that property owner? I mean, is it just non-responsive?
Non-responsive, that he will take ownership of it. So
Okay.
it'll come down with city action, and there will be a lien on the property.
Okay.
So it could potentially be parking in the future.
Yeah.
And if the church happened to go away, which the church has not really been responsive either, but that could potentially be a purchase or some sort of future action, and you've created either parking areas or a potential for a future roundabout to be sited there with some improvements to English in the MLK corridor. So that's the southern terminus of what would be the two-way conversion to go back.
I think we all foresee that area as being one of the next areas to have some improvements done. And we definitely don't want any safety buildings, safety buildings that need to be demolished. So I'm definitely in support of this. Any other questions?
Well,
Motion to approve.
A motion or a second?
but I just want to make a comment on
Yeah, make a
that.
second before you make a discussion.
But the church, I've never, ever, I go to that area a whole lot, and I've never seen it active. It'd be interesting to see when they actually use that space, but also just to, on 1503 to 1507, it is very, very dangerous. I mean, I know we got the images to look at, and now that we're going to have more foot traffic in that area and stuff, I think it's very important that we maintain safety and stuff. So anyway, so second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Aye.
Council Jones and I, the motion passes. Thank you. Where were we? All right, next item, 2022-457, resolution, 10th Amendment to lease. High Point Theater, who's presenting?
This is just, as you can see, a 10th Amendment to the lease, and it's related to the HVAC system for the High Point Theater space in the IMC. It's just an annual document that we have to execute every year related to the HVAC.
So we're amending the lease between the theater and the IMC.
10th Amendment.
10th Amendment, okay. Okay, I don't have any questions on that. Any questions for her? All right, motion approved.
Second.
A motion second. Council Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor Pro-Tem.
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I, motion passes. Next item, 2022-458, contract Southeast Select Civil Construction LLC.
Yes, sir. This item, it covers some stormwater improvements that we need to do at Blair Park Golf Course. We have a stormwater issue off Nathan Hunt that for years has not provided, but unfortunately, we've received a lot of flooding from that stormwater drain, mainly affecting two holes on the course, hole number 2 and hole number 7 at Blair Park, and all the area in between. And that not only affects us when it rains, but due to just the complete saturation in that area, that affects playability for days afterwards, and it's been a real problem. Been working with Trevor Spencer and our engineering department. We did contract with W.K. Dixon to take a look at that area, develop some type of plan to alleviate those issues. We did develop what I think is a good plan, mainly of an underground drainage system in that particular area that should help us with this problem and at least cut down on the days that we lose after a storm and get rid of the water. So we've got that plan in place. We did bid this project out through our purchasing division. We did have 3 responsible bidders come in, and we're comfortable recommending the low bidder, which is Southeast Select Civil, for this project in the amount of $446,371. Happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Will you get the award for the most money asked of the meeting?
Oh, well, thanks.
I just want to thank you, Lee, for giving me an adequate excuse why I've shot 200 out there. So I'm gonna blame all that on that's
Yeah, you're not going to have that now. You're not gonna have that.
Any questions? All right, motion to approve?
Second.
Motion second. Councilwoman, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro-Tem. Councilman Jones and I. Motion passes. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you.
Next item, 2022-459, contract sole source, Evoqua Water Technologies.
Thank you. This is for our Eastside wastewater treatment plant. We're looking to purchase some parts for our final clarifier. We have 4 final clarifiers at this location, and this is for clarifier number 3. These parts are the drive assembly, the header, and some other additional miscellaneous parts. So we want to get those purchased and on order, and then we'll reach out and have a contractor come in and install these at a later date. We're just trying to go ahead and pre-order these since there is a backlog and a delay in getting those here. We do have funding available in this current budget, and we're recommending to award this to Evoqua Water Technologies for the amount of $142,477.
I have a question, but I do a comment. I will say I've got two messages from people concerned about our water quality because of things that are going on across the country. And I will say that it's kind of cool to know that that's not an issue for us. You guys are keeping up the infrastructure, and I can assure these people writing back, I feel solid about, our staff and what y'all are doing, because that's an issue across the country, a lot of places.
Definitely. We're staying plugged in nationally as well, and also working locally, communicating with management and legal staff here about things that are going on and things that we're doing to kind of get ahead of that curve and just making sure that we continue to communicate and providing that highest level of service.
Absolutely. Any questions for staff? I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion second. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro-Tem.
Aye.
Councilman Jones and I. Motion passes. Thank you. Next item, 2022-460, contract 2022-2023 operation inasmuch contract with Community Housing Solutions.
Good afternoon. This is the contract for Operation Inasmuch for the 2 events that we will have for the fall event and the spring event for 2022-2023. It's a $200,000 contract. This will be our 12th Operation Inasmuch event. It will be in the West End community for the fall event, and that's October 29th. And then the spring event will be in Southside, and that date will be determined. There are sufficient funds available in our current budget, and we have budgeted $200,000 from the Core City Redevelopment Fund.
Can you give out the address for the October 29th one, the one in the West End? Do you know the address yet, or are you still taking?
I don't know the 10
Okay,
addresses.
okay.
There are 10 units that have been approved for
Okay.
repairs, and I'm sorry, I don't know all
Okay,
10 of
that's
those
okay.
units right now.
Okay.
Nina, what's the selection process? Is it, how do you go about choosing where Operation Inasmuch will have events?
What we have been doing since it started is we have looked at those neighborhoods that had pretty active neighborhood associations, because we really try to get the information out through our community leaders and through those associations. And so what we have done is rotated those events. And so all of the communities, we have done at least twice.
Okay.
And so now we're actually going back to some for a third time. But just continue to use the same pattern, or go to the same communities each time.
Yeah.
And as far as the intake process, Community Housing Solutions, they actually do the applications for us, they qualify the homeowners for us, and that's what our contract with them is for them to do that, as well as to assess the repairs and oversee them on the day of the event.
So you generally do multiple units at a time in a single community, or can someone recommend like a one-off type of a community? If someone, like an elderly person needed repairs, could someone recommend that they be part of Operation Inasmuch? Is that possible?
Certainly. What we've done is we kind of call that an off-cycle unit, and it could be one that the person found out about it kind of late, and then we're like, okay, well, we can't get to it this time because we've already assigned all of our volunteer groups, and so we will take their information, and Community Housing Solutions will follow up with them at a later date. But for any person, whether they're elderly or, if they need repairs, they can receive assistance through our department anytime. We take applications for our urgent repair programs and homeowner repair programs that's ongoing.
And last question, this is for anyone who might be listening. If you have a volunteer group, how do they get involved if they want to volunteer?
They can call our office at 336-883-3349 and just let us know that they're interested in volunteering for the Operation Inasmuch event.
Great, thank you.
Just have a question. I guess I take it for granted that we have cool programs like this in High Point, because I only know sometimes like what we do. How common is it to have a program like this for a city? Is it most cities have this, or is this pretty unique to High Point?
No, most cities do not. It actually started, as you may or may not know, it started in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a few years ago. And because Michael McNair had come from Fayetteville, he did bring that event and this concept to High Point. There is Operation Inasmuch on the national level. However, it is more, I will say, churches. It's done more through churches, and it has more of, I will say, religious overtones. And even though we are here to serve those in our community, we do not have any of the proselytizing or anything like that during our event. But for anyone that needs, whether it be assistance with any other services, we're out there to provide any type of information that they need. But it is not common that cities actually do it.
I just think it's cool. I hope that people in High Point really know that across the nation, we're one of the cities that does stuff like that. I've got a conflict that day with Veterans Day. We're doing a Veterans Family Day, but otherwise I'd love to be there. But thank you for what you're doing with that. It's awesome.
Thank you, I appreciate
Great
that.
program.
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Have a second? Do we have a second?
Yep, no, okay.
Motion second. All right. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem, how do
This
you
is just
vote?
water, aye.
Council Jones and I, that motion passes. Any other things that need to come before this body? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you. Yeah. I might put a bid on it. That's how I got my trolley. What it sounds was that is insurance.
Well, do I still need to talk?
I can charge them for the limo to take them to the lake. I can't charge them for use of the boat. It has to be the boat's in for free if they use the limo for it, because otherwise you have to have the captain's.